Hello everybody. This is the third part in our tutorial series of getting started with Modus. We're going to take our tutorial space that we ended with in the second video. We're going to turn this into a divisible training room and show you some advanced copy paste features that we have built in to help you speed up that, as well as get into a little bit more depth on architecture. And maybe some more complex things you'd be running into in some of your larger spaces. So without further ado, I've loaded up the space that we left off with. I'm going to drop us down into our medium high mode again, just for a little bit smoother recording for you guys. And the first thing I'm going to do to transform this into a divisible training room is I'm going to double the width of the room. So if I'm not sure which one's the width and which one's the length, I'm going to come over to my measure tool here at the top. I can hit T as well. I can see that this is 25 feet. So if I go over to my project now, I can see that I've got my width of 25 feet. So I have this set up correctly. What I'll do, I'll come over. I'm going to double this. Hit OK. Got me looking at the front wall now. You can see that it has indeed doubled the width of the room. Great. Now what I think in a typical room like this, what is currently our accent wall or our screen wall, would the doors would be opposite it on this back wall. Then we'd have our dividing area right here. So to accomplish that, I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these pieces that we put in before. And we're going to find our dividing wall first and throw that in. And then we'll start moving our furniture around, adding some more architecture, some columns or some notches in the back, and then move our doors back there. So let's go to objects. Now the wall that I'm looking for, that foldable wall, is called an operable wall in our library, O-P-E-R, operable wall here. So when I click and drag this out, you'll see it wants to attach to some surface, and that surface is what the track is going to be on. So if this is going to be a garage door style wall, I can attach the track to our back wall here. I would go up and down. Well, in this case, it's going down instead of up. Fix that. I would just use my scroll wheel to rotate this until it was headed in the right direction. Boom. But I think in this case, I want the wall to be a more traditional, like accordion folding wall where the track is on the ground and the ceiling. I'm going to rotate this until it's where I want it. I'm going to use our snapping to get it snapped to the middle there. And when I resize, it's going to extend that track out and add the appropriate amount of panels to the back section here. Awesome. Now, if this is going to be recessed in some kind of alcove, I can always resize this and put it back. However far out these need to be poking. It's just based on the plans, or if it needs to be on that side, right? I could rotate this around. But in my case, I think I'm happy with where it was. So I'm going to undo, bring it back. Now let's work on building a little notch out, or maybe like some wall. This I'll have like a piece where it comes out. So I'm going to use a piece of wall block right here, wall block. I can either attach this to my back wall, or I can attach it to the floor and then just flush it up against the wall. Either way, I'm going to get it flush. I'm going to resize it down, and I will give, let's say I want about 6 inches of depth. So I can see my depth right there is changing. Maybe I'll do 1 foot. 1 foot depth. Now I'll give 3 inches on this side. I'll just use that alt copy and then 3 inches. I'm going to keep it mirrored. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to do something similar over here. So I'm going to leave 5 feet for our doorway and for that swing open. So if I do this and change which day that door opens, and there we go. Center it in there. And I'll do something similar on this side. I'm going to alt copy, leave 5 feet, alt copy, and center it in there. Now I need to flip this one around. There we go. Now, if there was a kind of header here, I could use my wall block again. Size, over. There are other options, of course. I have my ceiling blocks that I could use from my architecture tab. So let me go over to there. Architecture tab. You'll see we've got a bunch of different building blocks. I got floor blocks, ceiling blocks, wall blocks, of course, that we've been using. Kind of the difference in them is the ceiling block has like a bevel on it. The floor block does as well. They've got this beveled edge. Wall block kind of gives it gives a very crisp edge. So if let me pull a wall block out and get it about the same size here. You can see that it's very crisp. Personally, I think that's what I'm going to be using here anyway. So I'll use it. But if you needed a beveled edge, you could use a ceiling block. So alt copy again. Bring this out. You can see that we've got a little bit of overlap happening. And that it's trying to snap either the side or to the middle. If I want to have it temporarily ignore the snapping feature, I can press and hold shift and then it will smoothly transition back and forth. So I can get it lined up as best I can. Now that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to add some cabinets in there. I think that'll round out the back. I'll do 1 foot of space on this side. And just about 1 foot. Oh, perfectly 1 foot of space on that side. Now, if I didn't know the measurements of what I was looking to do here. Oh, see, we've got 1.05 here. I could check the measurement here. See that it's 12 feet, 10.9 inches. Maybe this one's slightly different, 10.3 inches. Yep. So I could either adjust these walls and where I have everything placed, or I could adjust my cabinet here and just get it close enough. There's a lot of close enough that can happen in these renders, especially for the non-essential equipment parts. So let's take a look. Go here. Let's move these out of the way. And now for the fun part of doing our group copy and paste to get these duplicated and moved all at once. So I'm going to press and hold Control. This is going to activate our multi-select mode. So I'm going to select one TV. I press and hold Control, select another, select the video bar, select the table. And I'll go through and I'll select my chairs as well. You see they're all highlighted now. I can come to the top here. It can create group or our shortcut Control G. And now we have this as one. Functionally, it's one unit now. I can just resize this, or I can just locate it where I want it to be. Maybe I want it to be lined up with this back area here. I'll use a laser, kind of like we did before, except this time we've got that white measurement line. I'm just going to line that up as best I can with the laser. Now it should be centered. I'm going to do that again over here as well. I'm going to move my laser over, and then I'm going to do that Alt copy and drag the arrow. You see that we've copied the table, the chairs, everything that's in that group just got copied over. Now we can line it up. If I wanted to keep this laser line here for future reference, I could, instead of deleting it, I could hide it. So right here where it says show object, I could hit the hide button and it would hide away. We haven't really touched on the outliner yet, but this is where you can see every object in your spaces, and this is where you can find your hidden objects as well. Turn them on or off. You can see that we have our groups here. I could turn one off or on. This is how you can save alternate seating layouts, which we might do in this space just for fun. But let's double check that our wall is going to close how we want it to. Divide the space up. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, that looks fine. Maybe I'll change the color up just a little bit. And then I will reopen our wall here. There we go. Now the only thing left to do is to adjust our lighting. We still have this in an array. So what I'll do is I will just drag this over, have it line up with one of our grid tiles here as best as we can. Boop. And then I can start adding lights down the way. We went from 4 to 8. And it's looking pretty good. Looks like we got a little bit off on our spacing here at one point. Let's do center to center spacing and do that 48 inches. Looks like it was taking into account the trim there. Now everything is going to be nice and evenly spaced. We can add our lights. Beautiful. Okay. Well, maybe a little bit too many lights, but better too many than not enough. If I did want to adjust it, I could come in here. So I was doing 48 before. Maybe I want to do 60 inches instead. Oh, I did 60 feet. Nope. It's a little bit too many. And I could dial back the number of lights here until it matches up with what I want. So there we go. We're evenly spaced now, I believe. 2 tiles, 1.5. Maybe I bring this over 1 tile. There we go. All right. So like I said, I think we're going to do an alternate seating layout for this one. So I'm going to click this group that I have. I'm going to hit ungroup up here or Control-Shift-G. Because I want to keep my TVs and my video bar, but I want to change my table and my chairs. So I'm going to make a new group out of the table and chairs. Again, going through and selecting all my pieces. Control-G to group. And then I can hit Control-H to hide or come over to properties, hit hide. So that will still live in this space. It's just not being drawn right now. And I'm going to use a table. Same kind of textures that we had before. Black powder coat, white metal base. I'm going to opt to put this one on casters because I'm going to say that this is a mobile furniture This is like a lecture situation happening. So let's grab one of our chairs, 2 of them even, at our table. That looks like a good little section. So I'm going to turn this into a group. And now with my group, I can make an array by hitting Control A. And I can add additional seating groups like this. If I don't want to measure and instead want to say, hey, I've just got an amount of space I need taken up by these units, instead of doing our typical spacing method here with fixed, I can go to auto. And then when I use my resize, which is E, I can adjust these bounds and it will automatically space these things as best as it can to fill up that space. So I want to leave at least 3 feet of walking space back here, which I've done. I'll be a little generous and make it 4 feet in the back. We've got 7 feet in the front. I think that's enough for a presenter. And then if I need 3 feet on these side edges, I could do that. Or if I just want to have one of these edges be the quasi hallway that we use, I could shut this and then measure that it's 1 foot over there. But I'm just going to bring this over as 3 feet hallway. You can see these are up pretty close, almost up against the edge there. But now we have an alternate seating layout. I could, of course, come through, furnish this with someone's brought their laptop and they want to watch the presentation that way. Or furnish the room itself with some more plants in the back, or add the trash cans on the sides here. Maybe I'll make this a small little cactus or something. We could add wall. We could have acoustic absorbers to kind of sell the more of the fit and finish of the room. But yeah, this concludes the tutorial 3 and the tutorial series on how to get your first room started. All of the essentials that you're going to need. There's a lot more information out there that we'll go more in depth in on the wiki. If you go to wiki.modusvr.com, we have lots of articles breaking down each of the tooltips and advanced features. We also have recordings of webinars available on the YouTube channel. That we have some advanced sessions. We have how to use or how to import your own media, import your own pictures, import your own 3D models. So lots of resources out there. But this is something that you can kind of follow along with to get your own start in Modus. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comments below or reach out to support@modusvr.com. We'd be happy to address them there. Thank you.